Ms. Dean.
Thank you, Chairman Nadler, and thank you, Chairwoman Bass, for bringing us together and for bringing forward this powerful piece of legislation at a time when our country desperately needs it. I thank all of our witnesses today. I pray that our words and our actions will be worthy of this moment. If anybody has a doubt as to systemic racism in this country, as to inequality based on race in this country, you can look no further than between me and my friend and colleague, Ms. McBath. I'm the mother of 3 white sons. I've never had to have the talk. You were the mother of beautiful Jordan Davis. You had to have the talk. If you doubt there is racism, look no further than the inequality of our life experience. And I mourn with you. My sincere sympathy to Ms. Underwood Jacobs and her family for the loss of her brother. And Mr. Floyd, it is heartbreaking, it is soul-crushing what we witnessed 2.5 weeks ago as the depraved murder of your brother. My sympathy is with you, but more my words and my actions will be with you. The world is watching. Ms. Gupta, I'd like to talk first about the issue of the National Registry. There's been some conversation about it. And I remember the horror of Tamir Rice's murder in 2014, the anger that we all felt, the dismay of a police officer who killed a beautiful little boy. That police officer had been deemed an emotionally unstable and unfit for duty by the police department he had worked at before joining the Cleveland Police. He never disclosed that information in his application. The Cleveland Police never reviewed his previous personnel file before hiring him. We must expect agents of government entrusted with the awesome responsibility of protecting and serving, but also capable of using brutal and deadly force, to be hired under rigorous standards. Do we know how pervasive this problem is of not knowing the background of police officers as they are hired?
There are some registries that associations, regional associations have created, but there is no national registry of the sort that is being proposed in this really important legislation. This is why it is high time that this provision in the Justice and Policing Act be passed. It's time to have a national registry that has this kind of information that could save lives and, frankly, also promote community trust. But this national registry would have misconduct complaints, it would have discipline and termination records, it would have records of certification. It contains conditioning for money, for funds, so that agencies actually have to put in inputs before they can access federal money. But it is high time for this to happen.
I was talking this week with my own Attorney General, Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, about the issue of a national registry. He too supports that, but I do know that he has also, as Attorney General, worked with and announced that he wishes to establish and have the legislature in Pennsylvania establish a state registry. I think it's important that my home state is considering that. Should the tracking of disciplinary and performance records of law enforcement be left to the states alone? Is that sufficient, or does it mean that we should do both?
If you just have a patchwork of states that do this, and it's good that states are standing up, because right now is a moment where people are demanding change, and so states are beginning to take action. But you will end up with a patchwork that will not be sufficient to actually achieve the bottom line goal of having a registry that would be national, that people move around. They look at jobs in other jurisdictions. And so it isn't enough to have this patchwork. It's time for Congress to act and to create a national kind of rubric for this.
Absolutely. And Mr. Floyd, I'd like to end with you to thank you for your strength for being here today. We can't imagine the exhaustion, the fatigue, the grief. But we are here with you, and the world supports you. I hope that offers you some consolation. And your brother will be remembered worldwide for a very, very, very long time to come. As your niece and his daughter said, my daddy changed the world, and he has. and I'm confident he will. But I'd like to give you an opportunity to tell us not about his death, but about his life. What did you know and love about your big brother? What should we know about his life?
He was a role model for me and a lot of guys coming out the neighborhood because he was the first one to get a scholarship. We all wanted scholarships, and he was the first one because it was just hard. You had to get either academic scholarship or you would get one playing sports. But he had got him a scholarship, and it made everybody else feel like they can get one too.
He was a talented athlete.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I think he was a coach to people, wasn't he?
Yes, ma'am. He was the coach. It's just so much about him. Talking with Cyril, I don't know if y'all know him, but anyway. He talked to a lot of kids. He went to a lot of different places, met a lot of people. He went to China, played with Yao Ming, against Yao Ming. He did a lot of different things, and he come back and he shared information with us. And it was excited to see him every time because he showed us so much, just a big gentle giant. And he took us to a lot of places. We went to Orlando, went down there and watched the basketball games. He had a lot of friends as athletes, and we just vibed, and he showed us that there's other places in life besides being in the neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Floyd. I see my time has expired.
Yes, ma'am.
Our great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know.